This $20 bill represents all the cash I spent this week. How did I do overall? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back to Ready Budget Go. My name is Drew, and on this channel we talk about cash budgeting, saving money, and achieving our financial goals. If that sounds like something you're interested in, please consider subscribing, hitting the like button, and leaving a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Today, I'm going to give you an update on what happened in week 4 of my November budget. For me, I have 5 weeks in November because I go by Fridays, and November has 5 Fridays. I'm recording this on the 29th, on Black Friday, and so I've got one more week of spending left to do, but a lot of my regular monthly expenses have come in, so we can go over those. So I'll flip to my monthly budget overview page. I've already filled out most of the information here. I filled in my income with the second paycheck and the cell phone reimbursement that came in, and I totaled those up here. You'll notice that the total is significant. Well, I say significant. It's quite a bit higher than what my plan was, and that was by design. Because this is my first month doing my budget this way and looking at all of the numbers, I wanted to give myself a little bit of a buffer in here, and so I deliberately rounded down with my plan for my income. But these are the actual numbers, and so there's a little bit of a difference there, and as you'll see later, I'm going to need it. So then we have down here in the bills section, and it's these 5 that came in this last week. And so that was Log and Jotter, which is a monthly subscription for a notebook, just like a little pocket-sized notebook that I subscribe to. That came in at $5. Visible came in at $35, also on plan. I'll skip prescriptions and I'll come back to that. Astound Broadband, which is my internet service, came in at $50, which is what I had budgeted, and then a charity contribution came in at $25, which again is as I had budgeted. So that leaves the prescriptions, and the reason why I wrote in a 0 here is because I actually used a gift card, like a regular Visa gift card, that I'd found that I'd received last year and just never got around to using. And because this month has been so crazy, and I'm trying to get things back in balance anywhere I can, I decided that I would deploy that gift card and use it toward my prescriptions. So that essentially zeroed that out, so I don't have that expense. So down here at the bottom, I've totaled it, $3,902.18 off of a budget of $39.47. So there's a little bit of savings here. There were also a couple of overages, so it worked out pretty well in the end. So the wallet spending, we'll total that up later. Stockpiles, I'm not going to do anything with just yet. This is a Black Friday stockpile. Today is Black Friday, but this also starts a new week. So I did record some expenses in the Black Friday category, but I'm not going to total those up until next week when I reconcile the entire month, just because there are still more transactions that have yet to post. Savings and extra debt was originally planned for $900 to go to my Roth IRA. If you watched my update video last week, you'll remember that we had a bomb cyclone tear through here, and that required me to incur a significant number of emergency expenses. And instead of tapping my emergency fund, I just pulled this money back. Now, it had not already been contributed to my Roth IRA, so I was able to pull it back from my brokerage without having to make a withdrawal. So I still have that capacity in my Roth IRA limit for 2024, but the money came back to my checking account and I put that toward the emergency. Now, I had totaled it earlier, but then 2 more transactions hit that are related to the emergency that I somehow forgot to account for. So I erased that, and we'll go through those when we get to the expense tracker section. But the next sheet that I want to go over is the cash allocation, or the cash flow tracker, I'm sorry, because I made a bit of a mistake here too. So this is like a check register, and this is where I keep account of everything that comes in and goes out of my checking account throughout the month. I don't have all that many transactions through my checking account. It is credit card payments and things that I can't put on a credit card, or that I normally don't put on a credit card, things like the rent and things like, well, I mean, my ATM cash withdrawals, loan payments, things like that. So all of my deposits are here, all of my withdrawals are here. I had the ending balance, beginning balance. I added up all of my deposits, subtracted all of my withdrawals, and I didn't balance. And the reason I didn't balance is because I had forgot to account for an extra deposit that I made. So I made a deposit of $205, and that was from my Letterbucks. If you've been watching along, then you know that I save all my $1 bills, and when I get to a certain amount, either 15 or 25, depending on which letter it is, I save those to a savings account because those are building up for, I mean, I would call them sinking funds, but they're smaller goals. But just, I don't like having all that cash in my house, so I just put them into my bank account. So I got them into my checking account, but I didn't then transfer it to my high yield savings. And where I got confused is that there was already a transfer to my high yield savings account for the exact same amount that came out 2 days after I made the deposit. So in my mind, I had already transferred this to the high yield savings account, when what had actually happened is that was the regular twice a month withdrawal that just goes into the high yield savings, and I still had this extra $205 sitting in there. So I'm going to have to take that out now in December because it's too late to do it in November. If I submitted the transfer request today, it wouldn't go through until next week anyway. So I'll remember to do that in December. I wrote myself a note here, but this is why I have this sheet, just to catch mistakes like this. If I hadn't been doing this, then I probably wouldn't have caught that ever, realistically. And that money that I had intended to go to my high yield savings would have just been absorbed into my checking account. So that's all for the cash flow tracker. And now let's go on to the expense tracker, and I'll show you what kind of money I've spent this week. Here's my monthly expense tracker that I've been filling out as the month has gone along. And when I filled in the transactions for this week, what I realized is that I had a couple of them that I really should have counted toward the emergency that I had the other week. And these are both grocery shops, and I wouldn't have had to have spent this much money if I hadn't had to replace the items that I'd had to throw out that were in my refrigerator and freezer that spoiled because there was no electricity for 4 days. So I've highlighted those in red, which means they're part of the emergency, and I will add those to that section of my tracker, which was supposed to be savings and extra debt, but because I used that money toward the emergency, that's the section of my monthly budget overview that I put it into. So I'm just going to add these up real quick, and then I'll go back to the other page and slide those in. So we've got 95, 94, and 2904. So $124.98. And we'll just go back to the overview page. We'll slide that in as it's another zero plan, but $124.98 spent. And now I can add these two up and total them out here because it's the 29th. If there is an emergency tomorrow, heaven forfend, then it will just post into next week because I'm already into the next week of spend, or into the next month rather. So 124.98 plus 552.05 is $677.03. So not an inexpensive emergency. I'm going to put that down here, 677.03. I very likely will finish the month under budget overall, but that money is going to carry over into December and meet other money in December that's going to fill in the Roth IRA that I should have contributed in November. I'm just kind of pushing that can down the road. So that's it for that section. Let's go back to the expense tracker. And then for the other expenses that I had this week, I've also got some expenses that are highlighted in yellow, and this actually goes on to two different pages. So the expenses that are in yellow are for Black Friday, and I'm not going to count those yet because, as I said earlier, there's more expenses from Black Friday still to come in that will go into next week's spend. So I'm just going to hold off, but I will total up all of the other expenses that are here in teal. 922, 551, 6432, 2660, and 20. So this $20 here is cash, and I've decided that I'm going to put it in as a line item in my budget for how much cash I spent out of the $100 that I give myself every week. because realistically, it doesn't matter whether the money that I'm spending here is coming out of cash or if it's going on a credit card. I give myself $200 every week and I take $100 out in cash. Most of the time, I go over $100 um, in my card spending, but I spend under in cash. So the cash that I have left over offsets the amount that I spent on my card. So in this case, the $20 that I mentioned at the top of the video is all that I spent. So I still have $80 left in cash. And that offsets the credit card spending that I did, which was just a little bit over. But I still came in way under. Again, it's a little bit wonky because of the emergency, but this is the number that I'm going to post into the monthly budget overview. Flip back to that page. 125.65. And then this, like I say, will offset some of the overages that I've had here. But again, it's got the emergency in there. It's just kind of a wonky budget month, but it is what it is at this point. All I can hope for is that I don't have emergencies like this in December and that it's smooth sailing for the rest of the year. But at any rate, I'm not going to total up this section yet because, like I keep saying, I still have one more week left in November spend because today's the 29th, it's Friday, starting a new week. This week had to go somewhere, even though most of it is in December. It's just because the Friday, the day that I stuff the cash, I put the $100 cash in my wallet, falls in November. I'm putting the whole week in November. But these expenses, I'm not expecting any more bills in November. I'm not expecting any more income. Those are by the calendar month. And so those are finished for now. Stockpiles, there's still more to come because I've spent money today on credit cards that hasn't yet posted. And then savings and extra debt, I closed it out here because there's only one more day left in the month and I'm not expecting any kind of emergency. So I'm just going to fill in the ones that I know here. 622,833 and bills 3,902.18. Wallet we don't know, stockpiles we don't know, and we don't know the remainder. So that's all I can do for here. And next, I think we'll stuff the Letterbucks. This pouch here is what I use for keeping track of the cash that I have during the week. I usually don't carry the full $100 cash allotment with me on a day-to-day basis. I usually take 20 or maybe 40 with me on the day, and then everything else I keep in here. So in this pouch here, as you'll see, this is where I have the $80 that I didn't spend. 20, 40, 65, 75, 80. $80 still left out of the 100 that I gave myself. But I also keep in here any of the $1 bills for the Letterbucks challenge. So for those who don't know, every $1 and $2 bill in the United States is printed with a letter on the left-hand side in this circle here. And this represents the branch of the Federal Reserve Bank where the dollars were distributed. Not where they were printed, but where they were distributed. And each letter corresponds to a different city, a different branch. So in this case, we have a K-Buck, which is for Dallas, Texas. And the only other ones that I got this week were L-Bucks, and those are for San Francisco. I get mostly K's and L's. Lately, I've been getting some A's, some B's, some more unusual letters for me just because I'm on the West Coast. But this week, we're back to the K's and the L's, and I have only 4 in total. I have 1 K and 3 L's, just because I didn't spend all that much cash, so I didn't get all that much change, so I don't have that many Letterbucks. But let's get these stuffed anyway. So in this binder, I have an envelope for each of the different letters, and this is the second half. I have the other letters in the first half in a different binder, and we'll go over to the K's. So I make these challenges, these trackers. You can get them in my Etsy shop. The font that I've used is similar to one you'd find on the dollar bill itself, and each letter has 15 lines in it. So if there's letters that you get more commonly than others, you can use those to track one at a time, like I'm doing here with the K's and the L's. If it's a rarer letter, like for me, I almost never get H's, I's, and, well, J's are pretty rare too. So those I'm filling in one entire letter for $1. So 1 K-Buck, I won't update the tracker here just because it takes some exacting Sharpie work, and I'm terrible with Sharpies. As you can see here, I've colored outside the lines, but that's okay. I'm still going to add this and I'll update the tracker later. I also have a placeholder here for the $15 that I put in the bank. Went to the wrong account like I was talking about earlier, but I did put in a placeholder for the $15 that are out of the envelope. So I've got 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 K-Bucks altogether. So I'm going to stick this back in here along with the tracker. And we'll move up to the L's. Now in the L box, because these are the ones that I get the most often, I've swapped out my $15 placeholders for 25s. So even though one letter is still $15, I've filled in so many that I've swapped them for $25 placeholders. So I've got 25, 50, 75, plus two more, so 77, and that's represented here. And then I'm adding in three more, L, 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 to make 80. So like I say, I'll update the tracker later. Just slide the sheet back in. And then that'll do it for Letterbucks this week. Short and sweet. I want to thank you for spending some time with me today, and a special thank you for watching all the way to the end. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, leave a comment down below, and share with your friends. If you're interested in any of the Ready Budget Go products that I showed in today's video, whether those are the worksheets or the Letterbucks Savings Challenge or my placeholders, my entire Etsy shop is 25% off for Black Friday. That sale runs through Saturday, midnight, Pacific time. But if you happen to be watching this video on Sunday, there is a link down in the description with a coupon code that will extend the sale for you another 24 hours through midnight Pacific time on Sunday. Anyone who orders any physical products during my Black Friday sale also receives this 2025 Savings Challenge. This is printed on high gloss paper, so it's probably got some reflection in here. It's single-sided, it's A5 in size, and this is where you save $20 25 times for a total of $500. I thought it was a fun challenge for getting off on the right foot with savings in 2025. Super colorful, and again, printed on high quality, glossy stock paper. Again, please leave a comment down below, like, share, subscribe, and until I see you in the next one, take care.